So, all right. So we're talking about black businesses and why do they struggle? What are some of the challenges? Obviously, your story is different because you talked about you really had too many challenges or struggles in the beginning, right? But one of the things we know is historically for black companies, black business owners, there's a lack of access to capital and a lack of cash flow. So if you can specifically, for those who may listen or watch the podcast, talk about some funding sources that are not as traditionally tapped into, that are out there that really black businesses and small business owners can really utilize.
I personally think you first going to start with your personal credit.
Okay.
If you got to have good credit on your personal side. Like sometimes people shy away from telling people that. Mm-hmm. Like if your business you're starting a business and it hasn't generated revenue and it hasn't been open for 2 years, these banks are turning you around.
Okay.
Like they're basically, it's qualifications. Mm-hmm. Do you have 2 tax returns for the business? No. All right. Then they still want to see your personal, because the business, even though you're establishing the business, it's gotta be somebody to be the guarantor on it. So who guarantees if you default this that it's gonna get paid?
Yeah.
So your personal credit still come into play.
Okay.
So what I tell people simply, start with credit cards.
Okay.
Like find the business credit cards that you can tap into. I personally started with my personal credit. Mm-hmm. I was funding a lot of my business things on personal money, personal credit cards, until I learned about business credit.
Okay.
So now I'm just getting to the point where I can tap in to funding, but again, a lot of the funding I can't get because simply restaurant attempted to try to do a SBA loan with the restaurant.
Okay.
Hey, you can't get it because you don't have 2 years worth of tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
So erased. That's a downer for you. Okay. So what I've learned to build in the process, credit card. American Express is very good.
Okay.
So if you can get in with American Express, which essentially falls on your personal credit, you can tap into the business credit cards with them.
Okay.
One thing you're gonna notice with American Express, once you're in with American Express, you don't get another hard inquiry. Everything is soft inquiries. Okay. So yes, they got limits on how many business cards you can get, or credit cards you can get, charge cards you can get, and so, but you just got to be mindful. Credit cards and charge cards are different. Also, you need to tap into like airline business cards. Okay. It helps. Like if you're a business owner, if you're traveling to do certain things, you getting points. I use the points a lot. So, and it's just the points offset. I may buy flights. I may buy hotels with my points. That way it offsets. So I may be able to purchase something, use the points to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I tap in that way. And that's just for the everyday person. Like a lot of people try to say, oh, like do this. You get the net 30s and all of those things, but essentially we're not needing net 30s for what we're doing.
Okay.
Most businesses. So
net 30 now for the customer who's listening is not familiar with what that is. Can you just
that's like your Uline. Uline is a place where you can get all your materials from.
Okay.
They're a net 30 company. If I think I'm saying that correctly. But they give you 30 days to pay it off.
Okay.
So but you're needing money for, I'm just gonna say, as a restaurant, my food vendor ain't a net 30, No, I need my money
right
instantly. They gonna maybe give you a 7-day grace period or something, but that's it. But it's just an in-house with them. They don't build it off your credit per se. They just, hey, all right, cool. He spends with us on a regular basis. It's a grace period. Before your next order, that previous order needs to get paid.
Yeah.
So, but you have individuals who just, they got poor credit, but, I want to start a business, and people are telling them, hey, you can just get business credit for opening up, and it's not real.
Yeah.
Like being an entrepreneur with multiple businesses, It's no bank I've had able to walk in, and I personally have a 750 on all credit scores or better, and it's no bank I've been able to walk in and instantly get credit like a loan.
Okay.
Like I've been able to get like a credit card.
Okay.
Through with some of the businesses up front, but it's not that easy if my credit score wasn't there.
Okay.
You know,
and
so
my personal credit.
My personal credit score. I'm just getting to the point where I don't have to be the guarantor.
Okay.
You know, like it could just solely be on the business tip. But that takes time. It's not just, oh, let's get a business going today. We're gonna walk in, the bank gonna give us 50,000. I haven't seen it. And I'm not saying it's not possible.
Okay.
But I haven't seen it. Like just being the everyday business person.
Sure.
I haven't seen where I can say yes, like, yo, go here. They automatically gonna give it to you coming in the gate, no matter how, you know, what business, what your credit score is. I haven't seen it. So I tell people, like, look, learn credit on the personal side, fix your personal credit.
Okay.
If you need to start on your personal credit, start on your personal credit and flow into business credit. And that means like business credit cards, personal credit cards. Yo, flow into the business credit card side. Like, if you can go, like, yo, it's a lot of what happens on the business side. You hide trade lines in a sense. If you understand that, it's not showing up on a credit report.
Okay.
You using that credit card. As long as you're paying it, it won't show.
Okay.
So you got to find those credit. You got to do your homework.
Yeah.
So like some people they want a quick fix, and like credit is not a quick fix. So you start to make business feel like a quick fix, and you're going to play yourself.
Yeah. Now I don't know this part, and this part here I don't know because I know you personally, and I know you just stated, you know, using personal credit to be able to, you know, basically benefit from that from a business standpoint. There is this argument out there though that why use credit cards? You know, there's some people who feel like that's just not the route to go. Using credit cards to establish yourself, you know, from even a personal perspective, not just business. They just don't feel that that's the smart way to go. You being an individual that is a proponent of credit cards, what do you say to that?
Man, I used to have a saying, I'm going to live on credit, I'm going to live on cash, I'm going to live on interest.
Okay.
That's how I started.
All right. Elaborate, break that down.
As a black male, millennial, most of our parents, grandparents, they didn't know what credit was. So I know I was introduced to credit at 17. By that time, that's when my mom was really starting to understand credit, in my opinion. Okay. So, you know, instantly when I get it, guess what? I went and brought a PlayStation video game. I maxed it out. It messed up. You know, but that one card messed up my credit for years. So I started learning credit for about 3 years, from 23 to about 26. Okay. That's when I started learning what credit is. By that time, I was able to shake my credit back and just build it up. And I started with the credit cards. Like, I learned how to max out my credit, right? And what I did when I bought my house in 2016. Okay. All right, so from 15, all of 15, I was not using credit. All right, so my score is the highest it can be by the time I'm at the closing table for my house. I learned how to find out what credit cards pull from which bureau. Okay. So what I did, I made a list of 30. I got 30 that pulled just TransUnion, 30 that pulled Equifax, 10 that pulled just TransUnion, 10 that pulled Equifax, 10 that pulled Experian. Okay. The night I closed on my house, I had probably, if I'm not mistaken, I had $6 or $9 in the bank. for the year. And I closed in June.
Okay.
All the money I made from taxes, I had to use before I closed on the house to pay off some credit cards because I had a trucking company. I had an issue where transmission went out, had to overhaul the motor in a 2-month span. All right, I had to put all that on the credit card, and you know I had to get the credit right before they do that last pull before June. So I did all of that. Basically went for broke to do that. But that night I closed on the house. They had the furniture and all of that stuff in there. I sat on the chase of my sectional. Went for all 30. I got 27 out of 30. But what happened, they only seen what was pulling from each bureau. So TransUnion only had 10. It only saw 10. It didn't know I went for another 30. So, you know, the more inquiries you have, they're going to weed you out for having too many applications or too many current pulls to get credit. So I got everything I needed, but I did it was for 2-year period with credit. So basically I lived off of credit for 2 years. So I had to get rid of a car to close on my house. Closed, I went and got a new car. All right. I went and got 2 big loans. Right. I needed the loans to pay to live off of to pay my bills until I started making money again with taxes. All right. But what I did with that, let's just say if I needed the grand total of the loans I had was $60,000. Right. I didn't need $60,000 to end that year. But what I did was I got enough money to pay all the bills per month, and then I got enough extra money within those loans to pay the banks back using their money until I was able to make money. So from here, I maxed out my credit for, basically it was going to take 5 years to pay everything off. But after that moment, I froze my credit for 2 years to get the tenure of the new accounts and to get those inquiries off. So what they call that in the credit community is gardening. Basically, you put everything on freeze. You don't go and you can't mess with nothing for 2 years or however long you decide to garden. All right. So I lived off of credit that time frame, and it helped me because me having the credit scores established where I can forecast what I needed for the future to make the now work for me. It brought me time. All right. In that time period, yes, 2 years. By the 3rd year, I basically everything was paid off by the 3rd year. So now by that 3rd year, I done got out of all the quote unquote debt that I created, doing that 2 to 3 year period. So now I was able to focus on my bigger picture to move forward to saying now I'm gonna live off of cash. So now I got my credit is A1, right? Roughly don't owe anybody nothing. So I live off cash. I got the credit. I got it on freeze. Anytime I need something, I can go get it. So in that process, I started building the business credit up at that point. So what I'm doing in the process of this, I'm always preserving my personal, and I'm only using business credit for lending reasons. So even my everyday, I'm using business credit cards. I'm no longer tapping into my personal. My personal is always going to be $750 or better because it's protected. Get the business. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get a new whip. I'm gonna get it in the business name. That way I'm always preserving for the moment, for opportunity. You come and say, hey, Sean, it's $100,000 situation. You want to go in at 50-50? I go to the bank, get $50,000 because my credit is good. It's not no high usage on it. It's low use. I don't owe in the process of all of that, able to pay the house off, pay off some of these material things, and that way the credit is good. Now I can just save money. If I need to buy something with cash, I buy with cash. If I don't want to buy with cash, I can use the personal credit.
Okay.
to do it, or the business credit.
Okay.